Department of Regulation and Department of Supervision, because supervisory role we do have,
Correct.
and we work with our team works with FIDD. That's the larger financial inclusion.
Okay. And
Like
this FIDD is where?
it's in Delhi, it's in Mumbai only. RBI, one segment of
Okay.
RBI. So
Okay.
in RBI, we look as an industry building team, we deal with the larger thing, like where BC is there, technology is there, these, that, everything. Uh, so this is one, difference we do have. But
Correct.
overall, we are working for the ground people only. And the second thing, our this department deals with government.
Mm-hmm.
So because this is industry building site, it has nothing to do with your monitoring and anything. So we deal with this. So it is not new. It is now more structured.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the way I see it is that the role that Sadhan does in coalition with the FIDD team of RBI is more like a policy advocacy,
It's
another
it's a
part,
larger policy. It is
larger. Mm.
not NBFC. NBFC,
Correct, correct.
they deal with this your
Industry.
it is much more like industry related thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think SRO
Deals with the
team mostly monitoring.
monitoring, yes. SRO, if you see,
Got it.
you can also download the SRO's activity. Basically, from Reserve Bank's
Mm.
perspective, there is a list that what they should be doing. Sri is also here.
Oh,
You
hi,
know,
Shri.
Hi Tanvi, how are you?
I am good. How are you? And wow, so nice to
Yeah, after
hear
a
you,
long
not see
time.
you.
As your this what we will be discussing, it is cross-cutting for us also and for SRO team also, because they monitor the sector, they develop the report and they send it to Reserve Bank of India. It is also important. They should be involved in it, not only industry building side but also SRO side.
Correct. One last
Some,
question, Saibal.
yeah.
Yeah, just last question. I just wanted to be clear on, so since SRO part is doing the monitoring part, is there a template that has been supplied by RBI? Because in some countries, central bank also provides a template so that no information, I mean, they get the exact information what they want, or it's,
Yeah, it is there in India.
okay, perfect. It's also there in
The
India.
parameters are there, that what
Mhm.
exactly they want, because it's also at the end of the day also they need to aggregate the
Mhm.
thing, and if it is
Correct.
haywire, everybody is telling in different ways, it's tough for
Correct. Correct.
the regulators also. So there is that one. So
Okay.
then, so Tanvi, what we are, mm, we started discussing,
Correct.
what has happened that over the period of time
Mm-hmm.
in India, this year, mm, microfinance has, to understand the policy, overarching policy, microfinance has basically a facilitator. One facilitator and regulator, microfinance, I'm talking about regulated microfinance. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
One is your Reserve Bank of India. They regulate the most of the sector, although they do not regulate society, trust, anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But most like NBFC, MFI, then your
Mm-hmm.
banks, they regulate. So all these things they regulate. And there is also the state government. State government, how do they
Mm-hmm.
facilitate or they have a grip on it? Because this law and order is the state subject.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if law and order is state subject, they can always put a clamp on microfinance sector, that you are not doing the right thing, you are not doing the things in a lawful way. So they can always clamp. There
Mm-hmm.
is also another dynamics of it, that state governments have a kind of issue of ego, that all these people, they are working in my state and we do not have any hold on them. So by virtue of that, your what do you call it? This your law and order. They try to keep a grip on the sector.
Mm-hmm.
And how can they do it? They raise the issue of client protection.
Mm-hmm.
They always raise the issue of client protection as the microfinance sector. They have a shortfall on your client protection.
Mm-hmm.
And they do coercive practice, they do wrong, they mostly do the wrong things. This kind of notion are there in this in state government's mind. There is also political biasness, political conflict, everything. But these are the two, three things, that is making the things very complex.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were discussing, we want to make a kind of, study on the ground what is happening,
Mm-hmm.
that whether clients are protected, because Sadhan has come up with the CGRM, Sadhan has come up with capacity building, Sadhan has done a lot of things
Correct.
on it. But
Absolutely.
still, we do not have very aggregated, documented knowledge that what is in the sector.
Mm-hmm.
If we pull together a study
Mm-hmm.
on the client protection side of microfinance sector,
Mm-hmm.
will be good. And we want to do a kind this year an independent study.
Mm-hmm.
Independent study, Sadhan definitely will be part of it for sure. But the way we may keep it um, structurally independent, we create a an advisory committee on the top, and the agency who is doing the study, they have a communication and they take it forward. We are there as a facilitator, we are there in advisory committee. But mostly it is a kind of guided. Sometimes this advisory committee, they do not do the things. So we do, these are internal things, but this is how we keep it comparatively your in this independent. We have done that kind of study for your impact of microfinance. We
Mm-hmm.
have done that kind of study, your reaching in unreached geographies. So these are all independent studies we have done. So here also we do not, because if we do study, then people will start telling that that association has done this study by themselves, and they will put all the goody things in it.
Correct, correct. Conflict of interest. I
So
understand.
we do not want to get into that one, but yes, we will be facilitator. We will be, what we do, we develop the architecture, we develop the parameters along with both of the sides, and we facilitate the whole study.
Mm-hmm.
So we are requesting MFR to do some on this, that if they can help us, because you are assessing this client protection, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in India, if we can do a study by you that on the status of client protection of the microfinance sector in India, Shomesh is also here, Sri is also here, Sangeeta is also here. So, if they want to put forward some.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Good. Now it's all right. The
Shomesh,
space.
Shomesh, you want to tell something?
Hi, Samesh. How are you?
Hi, Tanvi. Long time. So nice to hear from you and see you. And congratulations on your new avatar.
It's okay. Still the same. Yeah, still the same client protection.
How
So
lovely.
good.
You're the expert. So wonderful that you're there. So nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We are
haven't
all.
seen you for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Let me, once I plan any kind of trip to Delhi, definitely
Yes.
it's long due to meet Saibal as well.
Yeah.
But we do keep talk, but I mean, we keep talking virtually, but it's just not, it's not been, like anything in Delhi yet,
Okay.
which I
Okay.
have to go. But yeah, I will surely try to come to Sadhan so that I meet everybody.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You're still in Bangalore, right?
Yeah, 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 very much in Bangalore.
Okay.
Moved the base from Manila to Bangalore. So yeah.
Okay. Lovely. Lovely. We were there actually just a week ago for our AGM.
Oh,
Uh,
nice. Yeah, but I think I was not there.
okay.
So yeah, so some, mismatch. Yeah, yeah. But next time you are there, maybe Sangeeta, if you could just message and we could just find some coffee or some catch up, it'll be great.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
So great, everyone. Nice to be reconnected. I think it's a very good opportunity, and what I want to add is We do have the knowledge because, as you know, MFR does a lot of these client protection assessments as well as, say, certifications
Right.
in and diverse. We have done certifications in the northern part where we see certain trend. Eastern part, we do see some trends. Again, I'm talking about India specifically. And down south also we see some part. Western also we have done some. And one of the aspects that, and MFR is I would say, of course, it's a global organization. And we have a lot of legacy data because it's not like it's a new organization. It has been doing this work globally in more than 170 countries, I would say, for more than 20 years now. What I'm coming to is that in India, one aspect that we see is that some of the institutions which actually got gold, say, in first step itself, say when they underwent the whole certification in 2021 or 2022, uh, they do go to adjustment period, and they have to, make certain fixes as well in order to comply completely to the standards. Um, Having said that, we also believe in, I mean, me myself coming from Smart Campaign, the idea is not to, uh, you know, basically get the organization like gold or silver. It is more about being on the path and doing the right thing. And if it is not right, then just fix it. So that has always been the pitch. It has been very difficult for me for some of the very, very highly visible organizations in which to put them into 2 months of adjustment period in which there is a lot of pushback. But then the point is that, well, if a client has said something, it's better you fix it rather than pressurizing, or maybe rather than sending several evidences to us just to kind of make you pass or get compliant on that particular indicator. Now, um, what is happening is, I would say that I totally agree with the observation that Saibal specifically, just because I've spoken to him around 2, 3 times before we got onto this call as well. One is, of course, in terms of the client protection and the systems and the policy side, coming from the financial service providers, could be NBFC, could be Section 25 or whatever. But I also hear and see that, sometimes it's also the client side of it. So I
Mm.
think apart from just looking at the status of client protection, I think there needs to be some element in this research which talks about what are the enablers in which I think we can talk about how these different empowerment of association as an SRO, and having an SRO and having Sadhan, another vertical that we were just discussing earlier, working with FIDD, how that helps in growing the sector. And then as a barrier, maybe we could just show something like the state government. And, so there needs to be also clarity also from the policy perspective as to what can the state really interfere at, because that is something which has been lacking in the sector. I mean, AP crisis just did some little work, I would say, for the Andhra government, but not really much, I would say, overall. So I think there is a room for that. That's one, in order to have the real story by saying that it's not like everything is going wrong there, but it's also about how the state intervention leads to, say, burning out of the client, because the client might get lured to not paying, or which could be just a momentary gain, a short term, but not really long term. So I think something around that could be weaved out and conducted. And I was thinking, do you think that in order to conduct a study, and it needs to be short study because MFR doesn't really believe in long projects like we used to have earlier under Smart Campaign. So, do you think that SIDBI or any other funders would be interested, because then I could really reach out to my internal team, try to put something like a scope of work kind of a thing. But that's one. Second is, who do you think in terms of the investors? Because we do work very, very closely with several investors, including IFC, including FMO, which is a very big one. Abler Nordic is quite big. So every year we do get a lot of their investees due diligence to do in India specifically. So I would say that these are some of the, yeah, Gojo is something I've been in touch with recently. So I can definitely pitch it there as well. But if,
Gandhi,
sorry?
Gandhi.
No, I think in Gojo I'm in touch with, um, I will just tell you, there is a lady from Japan.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cheryl. And in India, she is in Delhi itself. Maybe next time when I come, I'll also introduce you all to her.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice Indian girl, very educated. Arya.
Mm-hmm.
Arya Murli. So
Okay.
she's, yeah, yeah, yeah. So she's basically, she studied abroad and she did a lot of good research work in the past. And she's the representative for, I would say, Asia. But overall, the impact work is under Cheryl Nogo. And again, I have been interacting with her. So I think these are few things that just comes to my mind. Saibal, I can bring together something around that. Oiko, I can try something if you think they might be interested. Oiko in India is Manaviya. Of course, you know about them. But anyone else. But I think one of the key player, if you bring Sidbi in it, it would really still be very interesting because of the visibility that Sidbi has. And unfortunately, I mean, I do not have any contacts anymore in Sidbi because
No,
yeah,
it's fine. We do
mm,
have.
yeah.
So, yeah, I
And
mean,
Napfins,
Tanvi,
yeah. And one
Sidbi,
last word is,
yeah,
and last thing, I'm based in Bangalore. I can mobilize some. Napfins also is based in Bangalore. So, something which could come from Napfins also, it'll be good. I know that um, ma'am joined Sadhan advisory board or something like that. Bonami.
Bonani has moved.
Yeah, so that's what. So she joined Sadhan or something. I mean, I heard from
Yeah,
someone. I
yeah.
have
she's like
to.
a consultant to us on some project.
Ah,
So we
okay.
can, yeah, so no longer there. But yeah, NAFINS is a close association.
Correct.
We can
So
always
yeah.
work with that. Tanvi, the only one thing I must say that, of course, Sidbi brings in the brand name and we've done a lot of studies together. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, it helps and, to get that visibility, as you say. Only
Mm-hmm.
one word of caution, as
Yeah, yeah,
Shoaib
please
may
tell me.
also tell
Mm-hmm.
you that there's a lot of, what can I say, a kind of a censorship which comes in to some
Ah,
things which you are writing, especially if it has any kind of a possible negativity or a reality on the state or sector. If you since you mentioned somewhere about state interference and
yes.
influences, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we've seen this in the recent, but they're so careful, they're so cautious
Mm-hmm.
that certain obvious things which can, let's say, impact clients and or rather, as you know, happens in our sectors, that they are
Mm-hmm.
sort of affected in some way to not to be uh, taken away from the mainstream and something. They completely remove those things from any studies documents. So
Totally.
so that you have to be careful because they don't want to be in the wrong side of anything. So then it completely dilutes the picture. So I mean,
Mm.
if you want to do that, it's fine, but I don't
No,
know
no, no.
how
Then what's the
MFR will take
use? Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I mean, what Somesh is telling, we are hard hit of it. Like we have done a
Mm-hmm.
very good study, very very good study with a state-wise clarification, and then they removed everything, and it was like every day they will be looking at things. They will get something politically sensitive or something. That's a reality anyway, as Somesh is telling.
Mm-hmm.
But they will tell that remove it, and then
And
I
no,
mean,
no, Cyber,
at the
then.
end of the day, the knowledge partner, they were so disgusted. They told that please don't write on it. So this is the
Um,
status of
Okay.
this. Yeah.
No, then
So,
I think no, then I think it will be stifling even for us because
mm,
let me tell you that again being like the setup is in Europe, not in India for
mm,
MFR. So I think this kind of things will create conflict later on because for any research that we do, we just submit as it is without any change in the opinion that has been built up. So then I think it doesn't make sense to explore with them. But what about, let's think through what about the
uh,
other
IFC
investors?
and FMO recently, they have invested a lot in microfinance sector of India.
Correct.
So if you have good contact in FMO, you can explore that one. I had one contact, but he has moved out. So I don't have that contact in
Okay.
IFC we can think of, but it's a very long process with IFC.
Yeah, IFC is
Okay.
a long process until and unless they have some money already lying. Otherwise, no.
Yes, it's
I
a
think
long
it's just going to
process.
take time. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um, okay, let me also reach out. I'm sure you know Abler Nordic as well.
yeah, you know, I
Yeah,
know.
she's also based in Gurgaon.
Mm.
So I think that. And let me also talk
What's her
to,
name? Smriti, right?
yeah, Smriti. Yeah.
She was there in our event only.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, she is very much aware and very, very active, I would say, even in
Do
the in.
they have money to do this kind of study? I can
I
check with
I
Smriti. I
Please
can
check.
always check.
Yeah, why I'm saying is please check. And if Smriti says that she has the money,
Mm,
I don't, we don't talk to Smriti. We have people in basically their head office.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
From there I mobilize all my contracts.
mm.
But yeah, I would suggest if you could just check that
I
bit.
will talk to her. I will talk to her.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
before that, what we have to do possibly, both of the
mm,
institutions, we need to put our mind in it and we can develop a small note, a page
Correct,
note.
correct. One and a
Then,
half page. Mm-hmm.
yeah, then what we can do possibly is
Mm,
also to put up a team. A team
mm,
means I'm talking about the reference people, the
mm.
senior references from the
Correct.
sector, like 4, 5 people, and we can tell them that this is what we are going to do. And
Mm,
if they have something add on, because it will also help us to strengthen our endeavor, right?
correct.
And so this is how I'm looking forward. Anything, Somesh or Sri, you are thinking of?
I mean, maybe you discussed it in the previous calls, Shoaib. I mean, I guess 2, 3 things that come up in the. I mean, you must have discussed what happened in Karnataka and Tamil
Mm,
Nadu. A mix of many things going on in the sector. I guess in terms of as far as clients is concerned, um, one is of course the whole issue of. I mean, in terms of in the research needs and what we want to try to find out is we know the story about the oversupply, over leveraging, which is
Mhm.
there and possibly leading to some kind of wrong practices. But there is also the other side, which is that these clients haven't actually sort of got economically, socio-economically, their conditions haven't actually improved as much as everybody like to think
Mhm.
from COVID days. As much as the recovery that was thought of hasn't really happened,
Mhm.
and that's what time and again is being told to us in our field efforts that any kind of any extra shock that comes in, either any kind of health emergencies or climatic conditions, suddenly tips them even further back that they do
Mhm.
not have any wherewithal actually to uh, take this increase, the ability to repay is not happening. So it's not just pockets where there is delinquencies or anything. One is hearing stories that even if there is one lender, it doesn't mean that there are 5 lenders or 6 even if there is one lender or there is a situation where the families are not that badly off, even there they are vulnerable. So this issue of vulnerability is
Mm.
something that would be, I don't know if we are able to check that actual economic situation. That have things really, what is the state of this
Mm.
our target segment? I mean, how bad is it? And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we,
One of
you
the
know,
aspect I also want to bring in, as Sumesh is telling, that, one is government, another one, how this media is influencing everything. Despite of our good work, you will see lot of your write-up has happened on our book. So write-up means we are not chasing them. The government has already put something. RBI has already put something. These
Mm.
parameters we have put in our code of conduct. Most of our We also check on the ground what is going on. So we have done everything. So from your we have code of conduct, as you know, we have government's directive, RBI's directive. Then then industry still, if we are not protecting the client, still our industry. How come industry is growing in this
Mm.
space? I mean, we work with the people, right, at the community level. If we are doing so much of wrong, then how come our industry is growing? It is not only your this demand is, I know it is not because of our good work also.
Mm.
It is increasing. So we want to bring together that what's the milieu of this client protection in microfinance sector? What could be the parameters we would be trying to understanding? What are the sources of those? Those information. This kind of thing, overarching thing, how media is influencing. One thing that that people do not understand, or they do not want to understand. There is also shooting, like our this microfinance, this loan officers been killed.
Mm.
So they killed because of the money. They were carrying money. So this is also way to,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
still we go to the field. We go in such a way. I mean, nobody will do it. None of the banks will do it. None of the financial institutions will do it. I'm not putting honey on everything. I'm not trying to insulate the thing, but that's one part of the thing. And government always they will tell about that we are extorting our. If it is our rate of interest is high, there is a justification behind it. Our source cost is so high. If the smaller institution, if you are getting money from the NBFCs, it goes as high as 18-19%.
Mm.
So people, so they always tell that your clients are in soup. You are not taking care of your client. You are not protecting your client. You are only talking about money. Right? Yes, we are financial intermediary, like the sector. That's fine. But if we don't work with the people, if we don't think of them, if we are not thinking of them, industry cannot grow in this space.
Mm.
So
I
how are
hear.
we protecting?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's a very good point, Saibal. And before I forget, something that comes to my mind. Thanks, Somesh, for bringing that. Um, would you be able to share an aggregated data, very, very short data, on how the PAR or the delinquency has been increasing, A, and the client dropouts or something like that, which you think will be relevant to this? Because let me tell you that just a scope of work or just a note, a research note might not move the needle at the investors level. It needs to be something quantitative and more handy. So where I have the data more at the, I would say, at the institution level, FSP level, financial service provider level, you might have some aggregated data, like a trend or something. So if you could just give me three, four data points that could help in plugging for that specific node, that would be useful. That's one.
Yeah,
Second,
sure.
yeah, second thing I really wanted to bring in is that the point that really came up from Somesh and Saibal, that media has been influencing. This is a very, very important point, because let me tell you that currently, I mean, at least last year, I spent quantum of my time in Cambodia, wherein I can say that media has been really destructive, and not only media, but even the human rights organization in a small country like Cambodia, in which they produced stories of clients doing suicide. I mean, it's not even like the AP crisis, I would say, but the clients doing suicide, and they took their loan book, photographs, and just took some the interviews of those clients and their families in distress and their vulnerability, and they have just kind of produced. And this is particularly an American guy who keeps writing about Cambodia, and created this publication in a lot of international magazines and international publications, which has really destroyed also the market. But this is a
Who
trend
is
that
that person?
that person is very famous. His name is James Crook. I
Uh-huh. Yes, yes, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know.
And let me tell you that the result has been that the investors have been pulling out from last 2 years, including this year. The large DFIs like World Bank, FMOs, they have started diluting their stakes in because there has been a lot of question on what are you guys doing? You had invested in that particular organization.
Hmm.
So there has been some research that has happened there also, in which we just kind of briefly, how do you say, contributed to it. But that was more on the side of, I would say on the similar lines of what AP crisis was, but because it was more on too much of supply coming. There was no state level intervention. There was no regulatory or anything from the association or so on. Now, having said that, what I wanted to bring is, the media influence is something in which client protection is fine, but then there needs to be also some responsible, you can say, media, and what is actually produced, like whether it is checked or not. Maybe that could also be a part of
Yeah.
some ministry of in communication information. I don't know. I mean, it could just sit in somewhere, but that could be one of the findings that we could also bring in already, or have a research question around that.
Yeah,
uh,
because in most of the cases, you will see that
hmm,
the first thing they will tell that this the rate of interest is so high,
very
banks
high.
can the first and foremost thing they will tell. Arey bhai, you first try to understand. Nowadays, everybody can be a journalist because social media is there and mobile is there.
Yeah, true. No, that's
So,
true.
Tanvi, didn't was there no a Cambodia association which countered it through some media engagements or their own
Lots.
PR strategy or
No.
something?
Yeah, PR strategy. I mean, we contributed
Okay.
along with CMA, in kind of writing and replying to the statements that this journalist had made. The journalist actually interviewed us.
Hmm.
Same journalist interviewed us and said that, well, how can the institution that was gold certified,
Hmm.
their client also did suicide, and there is no one to take care of the family. Their entire assets has been sold off now. The family is all in, it's just left on their own to survive, and it's so irresponsible. And you all are talking about. So we actually went on an interview with that guy to make him understand about the limitation of even doing this exercise of client protection certification, because we cannot go and interview all the clients across the world, and across that particular organization. But it is more about systems, it's more about policies, it's more about the sample size that is used. But uh, and the association side and the central bank side, they were the institution that was under the radar. They were asked to report back in 2 months' time about what happened. And for that, a separate investigation agency was hired to go
Hmm.
and interview the clients in that pockets. And I think for some, the case was more like, it was just like the Gen Z cases in which there was some emotional side of the story, in which the person wanted to just, like, marry someone, and that girl was not like whatever, the family or whatever. And so he just did suicide. But I mean, now you don't, I mean, so I was heavily involved about, in fact, with all these organizations, specifically with whom we worked, and there were only one with whom we worked, but I would say that that was submitted. But then the point is, what else can be done? And the same report was also submitted to the journalist, but he just picked up what he wanted to pick up. And so if you see, even for those organizations, SPTF took the stand, and their certification was put under review. And when I say it was put under review, means earlier on their website, they used to say gold, silver, and all. So that was just put on hold, and it was said it is under review. And then the organizations had to, uh, you know,
Raise the flag.
I mean, one is, and the investors, let me tell you, last year, I used to have almost like alternate days a call with different investors, even if they have invested very small and they have been investing through fund of funds. They were all concerned about what's happening in Cambodia, and they wanted to know, like, is there something really wrong? Should we just exit out of that market or whatnot? So I would say these things do happen. But I think currently what it is also working on in what we together worked is the state of the practice report, which is again in the pipeline for next year. But again, this is state of the practice report in which the code of conduct assessment that each and every institution has to undergo as part of being part of the central bank. So that particular data, as well as the client protection assessment data, is being plugged together and performed. So what is really different in Cambodia, unlike India, is of course it's much lower in the rung of developing country. So there it is, even the banks, the commercial banks, are the ones who are catering to almost the same segment of microfinance, which is not the case in our country, right? So there they call themselves as banks, and they say that, well, we are bank and we shouldn't be bothered. But I think this particular exercise that is going on currently for doing mandatorily code of conduct assessment and client protection assessment for all the banks and all the NBFIs and all the MDIs is something which will help in producing a state of the practice report maybe next year. But then for this kind of a thing, there has been quite a bit of investors, along with some funding coming from UN, some funding coming from Ministry of Luxembourg, Development Fund and all, because there are a lot of European investors that have invested in that market, and also because some of them exited. So they want to tag it as a responsible exit from the market by putting some fund and showing that the impact that they have created by staying in this market. So there are a lot of, I would say, versions for it, but it's again the same thing, like the state of the practice report that everyone is looking up to, which is going to be there maybe next year by end of the year, because currently the assessments are all on. So that has been one of the combating strategy that is over there. That's one. And second is, just want to mention, is a lot of governance-led workshops, basically for the board of directors to be more equipped on how to read different reports, that comes at the board level, so that there is no, I would say there is no just someone in the board just for the heck of it, but they are there because they are responsible and they are looking into the data, they know what their roles are, and so on. So I think these two strategies are somehow, it's creating more awareness, I would say, and making it, we hope that in next 2 years, 3 years, it might be a bit better. And then a better policy level work at National Bank of Cambodia, which is just like RBI. So RBI is again very, very advanced. I mean, we are very much advanced than that country, but also like simple definition of what is microfinance. Like, the banks cannot say that, well, that's not the sector that we work in, so we shouldn't do code of conduct assessment, because if they try to touch a particular segment by giving a certain amount of loan, and to a certain segment they need to book that portfolio as microfinance and not really call themselves as a commercial bank or something like that. So there are a lot of, I would say, lot of pieces of work and initiatives that is ongoing, which will all culminate in next 3 years or something. But it's been an exciting market, and we can certainly learn something from there.
Yeah. Tanvi, they actually, some of them came and met us, Shoaibul, if you remember, some years ago from Cambodia. And it was already, we were hearing stories of over indebtedness and
Correct.
lots of harsh recovery, people coming into the villages in Cambodia. We don't know who it was. And they were trying to learn from us and
It was
whether.
there. Yeah, it was there. It was from
Mm,
CMA only.
mm,
CMA, and also Tanvi, Sadhan is structuring an association of network of networks in Asia Pacific region, where CMA is also part of it.
Correct.
So they are yet to sign the agreement and come back to us, but they have principally agreed to take part of it. We can definitely learn from them. And Cambodia is a very vibrant market anyway, especially when it comes to different kind of challenges, India and Cambodia.
Correct, correct, correct. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would just I would just leave that particular uh, link in your in the mail. Um if you ever want to read it as to what happened in last 2 years.
Mm.
But yeah, I think
very much so. Thank you.
yeah,
We'd
you,
love
you
to
could
read it.
just read it. Yeah, but I would say that it's still part of what we had earlier in AP crisis. Not at that level, but yeah, still somewhat. But one of the beauty of Cambodia is there are a lot of human rights organization, and there are a lot of expats that work there. So
Mm.
good that you are
Filled
part of.
with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
No,
it's
the only thing, Tanvi, is that a lot of AP crisis suddenly hit,
hmm.
and but in this case in Cambodia, we've been hearing of this burning issues for a number of years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So
so there was a surprise element in AP, the way the government came and did a lot of stuff and the ordinance and things like that.
correct.
Uh, but here I mean, at least I can tell you, last 5, 6 years I've been hearing about.
Yeah, yeah. So you hear about it, Somesh, and then it just goes off the way
No,
it
right,
will
right,
go. Yeah, it will fade. Then again, after a certain number of years, because again, you will not believe the average loan size over there for some organizations. We are not going to book, like, we have a proper definition in India. Like,
right.
can you imagine like $40,000 booked under microfinance? I mean, what are you
Wow.
talking about,
Okay.
right?
Right.
uh, that's not is what is microfinance, right? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that yeah, there are some commonalities. There is very few things to learn, but I think they need to learn more from us, and particularly the regulators. And that's why now there is like this whole consortium which is putting pressure on the central bank itself to do some policy level work, rather than undergoing this whole trend of after every 8 years, 10 years, again coming in the news for over indebtedness, and then again the same thing going on again and again. So I think there are a lot of initiatives, like a lot of Advance International is again one of the international technical assistance organization. They are also into investments, so they bring some investment, and they are working in setting up a proper underwriting process, the entire template of the loan agreement, how it should be. So all that is getting standardized at the association level, at the central bank level. So a lot of efforts are going on for sure. But we are much ahead of the curve when it comes to our ecosystem that we work in India. But one thing I just wanted to bring where I find a bit of similarity is what Somesh, you and Saibal were talking about in terms of media influencing. So certainly, I think media influencing is something that harmed that sector as well. And one last point I wanted to respond to your question point that you made on vulnerability of the clients. I think the client vulnerability also has been not because of in India as well as everywhere, is not only because of maybe the larger loan size, but it has also been because, in general, I think the economy has not been doing very, very well. So when I say, I mean, at least compared to other countries, the economy in India is still better because the consumers are ready to spend. They have enough liquidity, and there's not much change. The inflation, of course, has been there, but not as high as the country like Sri Lanka. Like if you go to Sri Lanka, you would really feel it. That they're really struggling in even selling very, very simple products, like even small restaurants, very difficult to survive there because of the very, very high inflation and the decline in their entire growth. So I think definitely let's put together. I also think that I remember one or two European organizations that I can reach out to and see if they can help. I think one is Grameen Credit Agricole. Would you know someone, Sumesh, Saibal? Grameen Credit Agricole. I mean, the name is
Mm,
very French.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Like not that
Yeah.
nothing comes to my mind like that. But
Yeah. I think they
Shrivel
do.
knows. Shrivel, you're on mute.
No, I had a contact, but now he has moved out because
Okay.
number of years we are not in touch with them. So last I know he has moved out.
Okay.
I will
Um,
try someone. Acha, you have some contact, Tanvi,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I have, and I have it at in fact at again at the headquarters level. So let me also reach out and see what is their interest levels. Um, so yeah, I think that is all from my side.
Tanvi, what do you think? What kind of cost would be there for this study? Any idea?
I don't know. I mean,
Hmm.
let us put together. No, I think that will be the very,
No, if you talk to someone, if I talk to someone, a first question they will ask, especially these
yeah,
investors, lenders, what's the quantum of money you are looking for?
yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I was also thinking if we can have some, maybe some like CSR fundings coming from, say, HSBC or
CSR funding doesn't cover any study.
is
So
it?
yeah, we have this your list, CSR list in the ad. It's not
Mm-hmm.
covered. So we have to mask it under something. It may be women empowerment, it may be enterprise development, it may be something. We have to mask it. So we did some study on HR, but it was to strengthen the contribution of microfinance to for women empowerment.
Okay, I get it. Okay, so let's do one thing. I think as a first step, if you could share some quantitative data points on how the write-off, like mostly the trend. I don't want any real data. If we could just show some trends um of increasing or reducing the credit, the whole par quality reducing, and maybe the write-off increasing, something like that. Um, Something around, say, at the regional level, how certain pockets are heating up or something. That's the third. And fourth is the clients maybe dropping out as well, because dropping out is also an alarming figure, because if they are dropping out, then they might be again falling in the uh, same segment of money lenders, no? So I would suggest that something around those things, if we get, let's just put it together.
We'll do that, Tanvi. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a decline in number of loan accounts, higher rejections. So clearly, there's movement out from these clients towards other sources out
Hmm.
of MFIs. And, I think also because of the regulations plus our own guardrails, which we had to impose to stop some of the overheating, we may have actually contributed to some of this effect itself. Now there's talk that we may be contributing to some exclusion and not, which is not the purpose at all,
Hmm.
away from
Hmm.
financial inclusion, but what to do. So that may have also
Yeah. So I
led
think
to
that
it. Yeah.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
so that's also something. That might be a very good, interesting research question. Like
Hmm.
I mean, that's why I want to bring the dropout. So I think with these 5 data points, let's just carve out so that
Yeah.
first let us have the research question in place and then try to scout for the funding.
Tanvi, what you have to do possibly, you have to send us a small note on that, what exactly we are discussing and what we want to do. If you send us that small one, we will send you some data. If you send us these 2 paragraphs, then we can also
Correct.
start talking to the people
Correct, correct, correct.
that,
We can talk
this
to,
resource people and
correct.
also maybe some funding agencies.
Correct, correct, correct. Yeah, and I think the first step is always the one pager
Hmm.
because then that gets circulated even to people
Right,
whom I want to reach out to.
right,
Otherwise, it doesn't help.
right.
So let us try to work on that
Hmm.
and then move to the next step.
Hmm.
So good. So what I'll do is maybe next week I'm going to share a
Hmm.
quick 2 or 3 paragraphs.
Hmm.
Feel free to edit
Sure,
uh,
sure.
and help in scoping the work
Hmm.
better. And
Hmm.
also, I would put a comment on what kind of data sets might be needed so that you could just help in plugging that in.
Yeah, and suddenly, why I started discussing the things with, I travel a lot, and because in this, I work in this industry development side, I'm literally tired, despite of investing so much of time, despite of doing everything, despite of seeing the industry is growing,
Hmm.
trying to manage it. Everybody is telling that you are not taking care of your clients. भाई कैसे हो सकता है? How can it be possible that we are not taking care of them, we are not supporting them, still our industry is growing?
Yeah,
कैसे
yeah.
हो सकता है? There is something, some
Correct.
mismatch in the thinking. So I want to unfold those. Means Saban would like to unfold those things.
There is
Correct.
there's a real dichotomy because you visit the clients and then you ask them, and of course you know the groups are coming down, but they're still there, and you say, how long have you been there? And they say, we've been there 10 years. And do you have any issues? No, no, we are very happy. It's we've really benefited a lot from being beneficiaries. Our kids are going to school. We are doing better in our businesses and
So much
everything
that
like that. But our complaint is that you're not giving us more money, and we're not giving us more money when we need it because we can expand even more. So
Hmm.
you yourself are restricting us. That's the only complaint we have. So we are
Correct.
both doing good and not doing well as far as they're concerned.
only
But
that we are not giving them more money. This is one of the
Yeah, but yeah,
one.
but see, Sumesh and Saibal, I mean, this has always been there, and I somehow like this coming from the client side that you don't give me more money means which
Hmm.
means the demand is there, right?
right.
Tanvi, it is not only money.
Yeah.
That day we went to, I wrote it in our group anyway. So I found some of our borrowers. We are securing their food.
Oh.
We are securing their food. How? I mean, they were not getting any money from anywhere, so they couldn't. They're landless labor, huh? So they were not having money to lease land. Now, with the money of this MFI, they are leasing the land. I mean, leasing the land and producing their this rice and paddy. At least they will be getting. I mean, if there is over and above, they are selling it, but mostly they are not selling it. They are producing their own food, which is helping them. This is a food security we are contributing in the society. But still, I'm tired of listening that one. You are not protecting your client. You are torturing your world.
Yeah.
It's very tough.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's also like, Saibal, then somehow I see that in our country currently, I think after IFC pulled out from the responsible finance work, because that's where Smart Campaign used to work under the larger funding of responsible finance, right? So after there, they have not been very active, and that vertical is not really as much getting funding as it was earlier. I do think that such things happens because there is not enough communication that is being shared at the industry level. Of course, Sadhan does a very great job of your conference and your Bharat Microfinance report, as well as your different kind of engagements that is taking place, and at a very high frequency. I mean, I'm not much on LinkedIn, but then I always, whenever I see there's always something going on. But and same with MFIN as well. I mean, they are also doing it a different kind of, only for NBFCs. They also try to do a lot of workshops. But then I do think that there needs to be, some more better.
We want transparency in this thing. The state of the practice, what you were talking about in Cambodia industry association is pulling up. Possibly, we also need to do that one. But as a first step, we want to have a first document, a study, the state of practice, maybe whatever you call.
Yeah,
But
but
what is going on in the field?
yeah, but Saibal, I'm not even saying that, India needs to do state of the practice report, because we have done it earlier, right? With Smart, we used to do it all the time. My point is more in terms of more strategic communication on going beyond the numbers of, like some kind of good practices, best practices, or something that is going on. For example, some grievance work somebody did is what I heard. I still have to go to Sadhan website and check some. I think either Sadhan or MFin, you did some.
Southern.
Yeah,
Southern.
exactly. So that's what I heard. I heard from somewhere, when I was in Singapore, I heard from one of the consultant who works even in India. So he told me that, do you know about this? And I'm like, no, but it's good to know. So I mean, this is something I have in my to-do list to just follow up. So some communication, maybe, in terms of what exactly it is, what is it? Like, event went well is okay, but like what really goes into it, like just in one page or maybe just in like five pointers or something like that. So a bit of more, I would say, strategic communication, because these days nobody has got time to read like big reports, right? Even for our reports, I'm facing so much of problem that the client doesn't want to give written feedback on the client protection certification report. So they say that no, you ask your team to come and we will give feedback online itself. So I'm just thinking, some a bit of more change in the communication, if that piece is done in a consistent way, particularly on things that matter, like client protection definitely matters. You do a lot of work on empowerment as well, right? Like in terms of at the field level, different awareness programs and all. So such kind of, aspects also needs to be highlighted more, which is not part of any event. It can be just part as, something that is coming from Sadhan directly. So there is a room, of course, for everyone.
You're right, Tanvi. We often do that. Actually, we do it very selective, this communication, mostly, let's say, with RBI, because in SRO, we are
Correctly.
supposed to do a lot of customer awareness programs, for example. So
Hmm.
we often talk about region-wise things
Mm-hmm.
that we do with customers in terms of explaining about responsible finance, or about grievance redressal, or things like that, or these thematic conclaves that we do with our members. They like all that, but then, or we put it on social media, just to say what we are doing. But
We
often
do.
when we
We
try to spread it more widely with media, they're not so interested. They don't want to see all the good thing that happens.
yeah.
They want more numbers, data,
Sensational.
yeah, or some negative stuff response to that. When we talk about impact or some good things that are coming out, launches and all, they're not. We don't get much pickup from
Correct.
our regular peer. But these kind of one-on-one communications we do often put
Of
out here.
course. Of course. Of course. No, I'm sure you.
So Tanvi, what we would be looking forward for your one-page note, two,
Sure.
three paragraphs on it. That what we want to do. Then we will have a meeting. And from our end, we will send you some data on this
Correct.
movement of path.
Mm-hmm.
So we will send it to you.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And then we'll
So
move
then
it.
we will once again we will come together and discuss on it, and we will make it more structured. In between, I will talk to Smriti. You
Mm.
talk to Gojo person
Correct. I'll
and
talk.
any other.
And yeah, credit Grameen
Hmm.
call. Yeah,
You
it's a
yeah
French
you
organization. But they do have investments in India, particularly I know they have investments in Pehel.
Oh, FMO, na?
No, I'm talking about FMO, of course, but
Ah,
Credit Agricole. They
okay.
have a big investment in Pehel, is what I know.
Even FMO also have good.
Yeah. FMO has many because I was
Mm,
FMO team with for doing one due diligence in Mumbai.
mm,
So they do have, yeah, but I am mostly in touch with FMO's investment fund, which is
mm,
the private equity and debt.
mm,
So I will also take help of technical assistance person's contact and then try to
mm.
reach out and see.
Okay. Let
Right.
us do it. Let us make it happen in Indian market.
Okay, great. Then great to connect.
Great, fantastic.
And also, like, if we can pull it in 2, 3 months, possibly, Somesh, we can put it in our national conference also, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
that would be good. We were thinking about that, no? Something you're
Mm.
talking about
So
potentially.
we were thinking about this impact study and live case studies, and also we can put this study as well if we can pull it together.
Sure. So great. It was wonderful to be in touch. Let me come back to you, circle back next week.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So great. Thanks a lot, everyone. And
Thank you so much, Tanvi. All
Thank
the
you very
best.
much.
All the best. See you next time.
see you. Bye.
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 Take care.
Joining that call. Yeah.